Alright guys, Scrappy again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. The OpTic boys are shocked at the number of online matches that are coming up over the next couple of months, as a result, they are looking to make at least some of them happen on LAN. A couple of years ago, Minnesota hosted some of the qualifiers in a LAN environment in front of a crowd. Maybe OpTic won't quite go that far, but they could well be very interested in bringing some of the Texas-based teams into the Hex quarters or some of the other facilities nearby in Dallas and playing some of these qualifiers in a proper LAN environment. The CDL were down before, would they be down again? The players surely would be on board, and Shotzzy seems especially keen to get away from online at all costs, especially with how important these upcoming qualifiers unfortunately are. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Lots to get into today. Oakis and Gunless, they continued their beef a little bit. Oakis we think is getting the Cloud9 spot. At least as of recording the video, that is one of the rumours. Gunless said, damn, this guy must be going crazy on it to secure that spot. And Oakis says, well, a similar thing about when Gunless had Exceed. So, yes, we'll see. Oakis, talented player for sure. Notable Fortnite player before he came to COD. Like, very raw, very inexperienced. He probably wouldn't be the #1 pick of a team like Cloud9, but if everyone else says no, then I suppose it is what it is. Ranked is officially here. Shotzzy's been grinding that a fair little bit. There was a couple of things about Shotzzy actually because, well, attached was a little bit of instigating between him and Ghosty. The real beef, you know, I wouldn't say maybe it's crazy beef, but Ghosty and Dashy certainly have a bit of beef. There's not much doubt about that. You know, it's just Ghosty in finals. When Ghosty was on OpTic, it felt like Dashy was maybe the one less happy with him, but it was Shotzzy actually who did that stream, I remember, and he said that Ghosty was like a checky teammate, I think is how he described him at the time. So there's probably still a little bit of something there. I'm sure that Ghosty gets a certain level of satisfaction from having beaten those guys in the final, and it will be the same the other way around. When OpTic potentially get their revenge at some point this season. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see more OpTic versus Paris finals. I'm straight up hoping that we get OpTic versus Paris in Paris. I mean, like, wow, we got it at major one in Dallas. If we get it in Paris in front of 20,000 fans or whatever they're trying to do, that will be unbelievable in that venue, there is no doubt. But Shotzzy was also, and the key discussion of today, talking about the CDL matches. We've just come back from what was a great LAN event in Dallas. My voice is suffering a little bit. I know that a lot of people have got a lot of LAN flu coming out of this tournament. Hopefully I'll continue to be relatively unscathed, but it was a fantastic event. But now, for the next 7 weeks or so, we're back to playing online COD again before the next event in Birmingham. Now, as Shotzzy says, these matches are just so dead, right? Like, these online games, it's difficult for OpTic as well, and also for other teams, but OpTic have been pretty clear on this, and I think Karma said it the other day on stream. They don't enjoy the online matches, and I can't blame them. They've played COD for years, they've just come back from a great tournament, huge crowds, huge like atmosphere, and they've got to play from, not their bedrooms precisely, but effectively for the next 7 weeks with no tournaments, right? At least online tournaments, they hit kind of different. As he says, the Monster tournament was pretty fire. But turning up to play these online qualifiers that are just for a tournament which is weeks away to get seeding for, it just can't, you know, a lot of players, they just can't get fired up for that in the same way, and I can't really blame them, right? But they're very important. If you win the major in Dallas or in Birmingham or the other ones, you get 100 points. If you win all your qualifiers in the next few weeks, you get 110. So that's just how impactful it is. He says they're so boring, they don't even feel like matches anymore because it's basically just a scrim. It's a similar environment. Shotzzy even says, we don't scrim until Tuesday again, but we scrim too much. Like, I hate some days off because, yeah, before the major, sure, let's get grinding, but for these qualifier matches, you know, we just don't want to be playing too much Call of Duty and getting burned out or whatever. So, look, whatever you think about this particular perspective, Shotzzy's clearly frustrated with the state of play, and, well, it's actually going to get even worse over the coming weeks, and therefore OpTic may well be coming up with a solution. So, this is the run of Major 2 qualifiers. I'll just quickly point out, we've just had a LAN. Before the next LAN, these are the matches that will happen, and all of these will happen as a qualifier, which means online, of course, although, as we say, OpTic may step in to help the case to a degree. These are all of the games. I will just scroll down. The first weekends, the second weekends, and you'll see some games on Monday here. That's just because it's UK time and it's happening in the early hours of the morning. But effectively, these are all the weekends, and all of these games are happening over the next 2 weeks, and it continues, and it continues, and it continues, and it continues, and these are the final games. OpTic versus Toronto is the final game of the entire stint. The first game of the stint, OpTic versus Boston. Who is shocked? OpTic are playing in both. Now, this is pretty crazy. These are the most qualifiers that we've ever had in a particular stint, and the reason for that is because the event in Birmingham is a DreamHack. It's happening at the end of March. Those are the dates, and therefore the league has got to come up with some sort of solution to get us to that point through qualifiers alone. Look, I think they should have thrown in a minor tournament in this split, but their logic is that we play single round robin. So the reason why there's so many games here is because every team plays every other team once. So all teams play 11 matches. Now, we've never actually seen this before, and I think for good reason, right? We don't want to see all these bloody qualifiers, but we are seeing it this time, and because of that, they are making a slightly different tournament format. The format is, and the OpTic guys will explain this in a second, but I'll just give you guys the rundown. For Major 2, of course, the qualifiers haven't got underway yet, but we'll look at Major 1 as an example here. The bottom 2 teams don't even go to the event. So this is how they're doing the whole, oh, it's like really good and important, these qualifier sets, because they matter a lot for the major, and it's good to at least make them matter. But I guess the argument should be maybe they shouldn't really matter because they're only online. We want to do more LAN. Now, partly this is because DreamHack is just a 3-day event, right? Now, we did this in Dallas, and that meant we had multiple stages, which I thought was cool. DreamHack Dallas last year, but the other alternative is to bring fewer teams. So, in this hypothetical scenario, let's just take the Major 1 qualifiers as an example. Cloud9 and Surge would not even have gone to the event. They have to stay home, they don't even get invited. 7 through 10, so in this case, G2, Toronto, Miami, and Boston, they would have all gone, but they then play a play-in. So they play what looks like a GSL-style group, as Dashy describes it, to get through to the playoffs, which is effectively the 8-team traditional bracket. So what you need to be in these qualifier runs is top 6. If you're top 6 after your 11 matches, then you'll be in the winner's bracket guaranteed. If you're not, then you've got to fight for your spot, or you're not going at all. So that's the way that things are happening. The OpTic guys describe it and they say, wow, this impact of online COD is pretty terrifying, because, look, the OpTic guys aren't a big fan of online COD. If they have another difficult run, they could be in the mix for not even going, or, you know, starting it right down there in hell. So that's why Shotzzy said on stream the other day, they've just got to get top 6. That's really their goal in this upcoming stint. Get top 6, go to the major, and see how it goes from there. But as a result of this, there was therefore some talk, okay, could we maybe fix this issue? Back in, as I say, Modern Warfare 2, I believe it was Minnesota, they hosted something like this, and I'll discuss a little bit more on that in a second after we share the clip from Hex. But effectively, they think, hang on a second here, we're all based in Dallas. The FaZe facility is just down the road. The Falcons facility is where OpTic used to be based, and like Dallas Empire and everything, just by the American Airlines Center. Thieves have a spot not far from OpTic as well. So why not just run it up and play the matches, especially against those teams, in a LAN environment? The players would probably prefer it. It'd be more interesting for the fans. Maybe you could invite some fans. Would that be possible? Maybe, maybe not.
Oh no, we don't stream till Monday or Tuesday. Brandon has people over, so we're not gonna play till Tuesday. Tuesday, yes, Tuesday, bro. Bro, I'm telling you right now, we stream way too much, bro. I don't give a fuck. I'm so down to fucking take these days off. I don't give a fuck, bro. We stream way too much. Before the major, it makes sense, bro. For these matches and shit, I don't give a fuck what anyone says. We should not be playing this much.
So Damon texted us, was like, only 6 teams qualify for winners. 7 through 10 are in a play-in to get to like the last 2 spots in winners. Like the NBA. Like if you're 6 or 7, or if you're 7-8, I think you have to win 1 before you lose 2, and if you're 9-10, you have to win 2 before you lose 1.
What?
Sure, like
really?
That, to get the last spot. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
That's what's terrifying about how much impact online COD has these days.
It's ridiculous.
2 teams aren't even going to go to Birmingham because of their
what
online
teams?
play.
Do we know?
No,
Just
it's
to the
whoever.
bottom two.
It's
So you play
based-
all 11 teams and
So stage 2, the way it works is each team plays every team twice, correct? So I think you play, or once.
So you're sitting there.
Each team plays 11 matches, right? I
you
think
play every team in the league.
you play every team once, and then the bottom 2 after that, from that stage, don't even go to the event. And then, like he said, 7 through 10 are in a play-in.
So you're sitting there trying to tell me that if we were in the same position that we were last year, where we were 0-18 and we were last on the bracket, we wouldn't be able to go to Paris?
Correct. Not Birmingham, I think.
Birmingham, whatever the fuck, yeah.
yeah.
What?
Correct.
Year?
100%.
Right? We could open it. We're open. We are willing. And I know that FaZe Esports is right down the street.
Everyone, we should set that up. Every single one of our matches, play on LAN right here.
Yeah, play us here.
Play us here, and then next week we'll go to the LA
FaZe.
Thieves ones, and then the
FaZe.
following we'll go to Falcons.
Yeah, Falcons,
And then
Minnesota. We'll go to your team house.
Well, no,
not Minnesota.
This was a tweet I found up for May the 6th, 2023, during the Modern Warfare 2 season, when this was what Minnesota put on. Now, at the time, these organizations still had a bit of money, and they were willing to do this, so they hired out this venue, this theater, or whatever, and look, they got a fair big crowd there. And in Minnesota at the time, of course, it's now G2, like Minnesota. It's still Minnesota, but it's not the rocker anymore as it used to be. But they've still got a decent amount of local fans, I would imagine. This team was pretty cursed. Well, like I forgot about this team. It's a bit of a throwback. Bance, Afro, Fame, and Cammy. What a team that was. Anyway, they turn up on the main stage and they play a LAN. But of course, this isn't a LAN. This is a qualifier match. There's no winner of this tournament. This isn't a tournament. They're playing an online qualifier on LAN. Now, this is how it used to be back in the day. We used to run league matches, but they would be all on LAN at the Columbus, Ohio setup. And the players preferred it. It didn't drag on too long. They played the matches relatively quick fire. And then within a couple of weeks, they were off to another LAN event. Not been the case in the CDL. But this was a cool initiative that Minnesota did. And it was well supported, as you can see in the crowd here. But still, financially, I don't imagine the numbers would have worked, and the players could just play from online anyway, and, it's understandable why more of these didn't happen. The other drama as well, actually, was that, if you guys remember, they played, I think, 2 games. They played Ravens, who they beat, and then they played Boston. Now, this was at the height of the sound equalization drama, and Boston were using the hell out of it online, but people expected, because it was banned on LAN at the LAN events, so people expected that when you played on LAN, such as right here, that Boston wouldn't use it because it would be banned. But actually, because it was still an online qualifier that happening in this environment, the league didn't care, and they, Awakening and those boys, they abused it. I think Awakening was still there at the time. They abused it to all hell, and it caused a lot of drama. Fans, Rocker, weren't especially happy about it. But the point is that even with no fans, even with no crowd, even with no massive venue, the players, I'm sure, would still prefer to run something like this. It would be more interesting for the organization. Again, will the league find a way to say no? Will they? Because they said yes to this, they were down for this, but also if it's like, okay, well, Thieves and Hex and Hex Quarters and Falcons and all that, they've now got to spend some money and resources and setting up this LAN match. What do they really get in return? It's not like they can throw a sponsor on that because it's still the league's product. So, I don't know, it'd be good for the players, it'd be good for the fans, for sure. I don't imagine we'd be getting fans in person, but I think everyone would prefer these matches to be happening in a LAN environment, even if it's just like a local LAN between a couple of the teams in their back gardens. It'd be better than how it currently is, especially when so many of the teams are based out of Dallas. It wouldn't be hard for OpTic to say, all right, whichever team based out of Dallas, obviously Cloud9 would be participating in this. Neither, I imagine, will the Carolina or Ravens, based fully remotely, of course, as we understand, but some teams could. And if they wanted to, it would be an interesting option. So tweet your thoughts and all that in the comments below. Just before we close out, wanted to mention this. We've got a new show on the Breaking Point channel. We've got Doug and Don sitting down. They did their first episode yesterday. So, intrigued to, if you guys want to check it out, let me know your thoughts in the comments of that video, this video, whatever. But, we're pumping out some more content on Breaking Point this season. We thought Doug and Don would be a good match. Basically, they have like a set of topics that they go through and debate. It's not exactly like contesting the point where they have an argument. They either have to be for or defends. They just have a discussion on it. These guys always have some pretty interesting opinions. So yes, thanks for watching as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.